Well, Lee received a commission to write a stage version of Frankenstein for a theater in Missouri. And he asked me if I would help him with it, and I said sure. It was a very fast process because they needed the script, I think, within 5 weeks. So it was just go, 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 rewrite, rewrite, rewrite. And but it was a lot of fun to do that.
You've had a long creative relationship with George Cron. How much back and forth has there been with him?
But what George did is, first of all, he put rules and regs on exactly what he wanted. This is the Frankenstein he wanted. And that included he did not want it to be like young Frankenstein, and that he wanted it to be a serious horror play. Well, this immediately then put, in my opinion, a difficulty, because we have 4 weeks, and if you're going to make this serious, I think to contemporize the language is a great difficulty. So that means in 4 weeks, a play has to be written with something akin to Victorian language. George asked for specific scenes in the play. I believe they would have been there anyway.
You obviously have Dr. Victor Frankenstein, and you have his creation. We have Dr. Frankenstein's fiancée. We have these two wonderful grave diggers, since, of course, so much of the plot of Frankenstein either starts in the graveyard or ends up in the graveyard. So you have these great sort of characters of grave diggers who they provide some of our comedy and some of our, just sort of to give us a different point of view. We have a wonderful mayor of the town who actually starts off as the narrator of the story. We have his little girl and a few smaller townspeople here and there, just so you gotta have a mob at the end, but we part of the commission was to write this for a very small cast, trying to keep the numbers down of people in the cast. So it's like, okay, well, how few people could we do this with? So that's, and we do obviously, hey, you have to have a doctor's assistant. We get most of our comic relief from the grave diggers, and we get, but there's some nice little, fighting between the doctor and his assistant, Fritz.
Tell me about your Frankenstein.
Well, I think at this point it's become like a Greek tragedy or something like of that magnitude. Everyone knows the story, so it's how you tell the story that makes it different, makes it interesting. I think one of the major differences in this and others is the female character, the fiancée of the piece, who is a strong woman who has a major role in the outcome of the adventures that we go on. Also, there is a dissension and an ascension that occurs in the play between the character of Dr. Frankenstein and his creation. And at a certain point, they run it parallel. And then as one falls, the other rises towards the final conclusion.
What makes a good horror tale?
It's a battle between good and evil. And you have this malevolent force frequently coming down on people who really, they're not all that bad. And, it's very, it's very, life sucks. Whether it's a person who, their life sucks because they were just born into abject poverty, or the school they happened to be enrolled in didn't have very good teachers and they never got a great education, or you just live your life and one day a tornado comes and wipes out your house. The victim who never even realizes that it's coming, it's just like he sneaks up behind it. That's never the most interesting part. The interesting part is the person who's struggling against it, running, fighting back. that sort of thing, until ultimately at least one character always does overcome this. It's about overcoming this malevolent force.
Why do you think there is often so much of the sensual element in horror?
Well, it's a life force. I mean, it should be in everything. If it's not there, it's dead, isn't it?
I mean, of course, with a film, you have the ability to cut in for a close-up, and to obscure almost better than you can on stage. You can hide things on film, or you only show a little bit of it before you cut away, and then the audience is then forced to sort of, when you're staging something, it can be a little difficult to do that sort of thing. It can be very difficult to force people's attention to a very small place on the stage where they need to look. They need to see that the snake is getting out of the box. I think of the poor stage manager who needs to wipe the deck between those two scenes. So I wouldn't want to spill a ton of blood out there. But you can expect some gore. It's a little bit more mental, I would say, than visceral. Although there's certainly a lot of visceral, elements to what we're doing. But it almost gets to where you think, oh my God, this is horrible what's about to happen, or what has just happened. And I mean, hopefully the audience will be thinking about these things for a much longer time after seeing the show, which is more our goal than I think most horror films are like. They're happy if they can entertain you in that 90 minutes. I'm kind of hoping that people are still entertained and thinking about it, weeks later as they think back to what they watched.
If writers write about what they know, and there tend to be at least some autobiographical elements in writers' characters quite often, how does this work when you have two writers?
I'm from Missouri, Steven's from Oklahoma. It's basically from the same place, in some sense, because we're Midwestern. And so there is some likeness and experience that already exists there. I think that in this particular case, what works, as far as I can tell for the plays, is in some ways we're polar opposites. And so pieces fall together, because what's missing here in what I'm doing is perhaps there in what he's doing, and what he's missing is here in what I'm doing, and so they tend to mesh together and kind of fit like a jigsaw puzzle. It's very interesting in watching it happen, because frankly, I had absolutely no idea what was going to happen. I just was so scared when we were doing Frankenstein, of me trying to pull this off in a genre that I don't feel that much of an expert in that amount of time. And so I go, hey, you want to do this? Basically for that reason. And then I did it on a little bit of a lark, because I had absolutely no idea whether this was going to work. And so all of a sudden, wham, I got a play that I'm really proud of. And hopefully Steven has a play he's proud of.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't think either one of us had any idea that this was going to work. This could have been nothing but a bloodbath, and we could have ended up hating each other afterwards.
What do you want people to be saying as they walk out of the theater after they see Frankenstein?
Dude, that was awesome. Wondering who the monster really is in their own lives, and is it themselves? Hope people really enjoy our shows, and we're going to scare them, we're going to excite them, and hopefully make them think. We want to do all three.